In a world with so many stories, from movies to television, and of course, comic books, comes a story that's only available in one of the three mediums I listed earlier. What you are about to see in this trailer is a character debut like you've never seen before. And now, we're just buying dramatic time by repeating the same shots that you just got done watching. We are truly very sorry about that. And now, introducing Rice Christopher!
Recorded live from the secret underground lair of Crimson Cowl Comics and Collectibles, this is the Crimson Cowl Comic Club Podcast.
The following issues may contain spoilers. No one decides we're monsters but us. I'm Anthony.
I'm Kirby.
I'm Katie.
And I'm Jim.
Welcome to issue number 311 of the Crimson Cowl Comic Club Podcast. Every time we record, we talk about comic books. On this week's show, we're going to wrap up the 3-issue miniseries, Deadpool, Wolverine, WWIII number 3, upcoming book reminders, What If Donald Duck Became Thor, Marvel Zombies Dawn of Decay, Minor Arcana, Batman Full Moon, and What If Minnie Mouse Became Captain Marvel. After the club discussion, we are going to jump over to the weekly reviews. That's where we go back and forth, and we talk about the books that we've been reading. They could be new, they could be old, but we're going to talk about them there. So that is going to be the setup for the show. And before we jump into the club discussion, I just want to do some housekeeping for Crimson Cowl Media. You can always reach out to us to pick up from David Gloyd and David Gloyd II. We have Tales from the North, The Dungeon, the physical comic book. Go to crimsoncowl.com for some free webcomics with these characters. Otherwise, reach out to us through the website or comment on this video and any of our social media to place an order for this, as well as my comic book, Rice Christopher, the Wednesday afternoon special, an all-ages comic book that is out now. So just want to get those plugs out right up top. Now let's jump into the club discussion. All right, time to talk about the finale to the 3-issue miniseries, Deadpool, Wolverine, WWIII. This is long overdue to me forgetting to actually pick up that final copy, and it got lost into the pile. So here we are with the final issue review. Wade and Logan's all-out war concludes. WWIII has emerged. Wolverine is tested beyond his limits. Deadpool is no more? Discover how this drastic showdown figures into Delta's plans, and with those who watch counting on unending bloodshed, whose will be the last blood to spill? The epic finale to the Deadpool and Wolverine doubleheader that'll be the talk of the summer and now the fall. This comic is done by Joe Kelly, Adam Kubert, Frank Martin, and VC's Joe Sabino. So we're just going to jump right into this issue number 3. Kirby, do you want to kick us off with your thoughts on this issue?
I don't know if you want me to. Again, we play with the flipping around, jumping sideways, back and forth comic, which still doesn't make sense to me since the picture that they show is basically normal size page print size. So they could have used it over that. I was slightly disappointed in this. I enjoyed this idea, the concept and everything, but it was kind of confusing to me as far as when were we in VR at one point? Were we always in like some type of room? They never showed them escaping that world that Wolverine was stuck in. I didn't really see a good like get out type thing. And I just felt like they didn't really explain it all to us. What happened with they showed the people kind of turning on the people that were running it, and he was turning on them a little bit, and we just weren't getting the full effect of it. I like the combo platter that we got of our characters, but that also went quick. And we got to this point where they were going to go to a bar, have a few drinks. I figured we'd see a nice little fun back and forth shooting the crap scene between Deadpool and Wolverine until Deadpool emerged or whatever. But all of a sudden we just jumped to them in their normal uniforms, ready to go. And I'm like, okay, what just happened here? But other than that, it was an interesting story. I just wish they would have maybe put another issue or two out there just to give us a little more detail on it. And I love their spread, like this one 2-page spread and stuff. They had some awesome images in here, but yeah, I don't think they needed to waste their time with the back and forth thing. But my favorite part of this whole issue was a fun little advertisement they put in here from Captain America. But yeah, I'll let you guys talk about it. But
yeah,
I wish it had a little more.
Yeah, that ad caught me off guard because like it's one of those things. It happened like on the second to last page, the penultimate page, if you will. So it's just one of those just being like it did. It was very just kind of really threw me off because it could have just been put at the end or put in the middle, but it was just like, wait a minute, did I miss something here? And I read this one digitally, so I actually didn't have that issue that you were talking about with the beginning opening panels because those are just presented as is on the digital version, so you didn't have to twist around your device or anything. But yeah, let's jump over to Jim. Thoughts on this issue?
I was also a little confused at the beginning because I didn't quite remember exactly where you left off, but I caught on fairly quickly. But I liked the opening part where it's Deadpool at a booth in a restaurant called Slim Logan's. Like a play on Tim Hortons, and they got the Slim Logers, the Loggers, and Howlett's Hottie coffee, and like the bits with the barbecue sauce. That was all fun too, and it's like, so that was all interesting and fun to watch, and the fact that Deadpool could regenerate from blood inside of Wolverine is just incredibly weird and almost obscene.
Yeah, it definitely led to some great stuff there with that. What Kirby was showing off earlier.
At least the other regenerations from Deadpool and Wolverine and stuff were off the main body parts. But if a drop of blood can regenerate, couldn't we have a ton of little Deadpools running around?
Yeah, every time he falls apart, why doesn't every single bit of him become another Deadpool?
Yep.
Any other thoughts to add on to that, Jim?
I thought it was just maybe that's what it needed, was just another issue or two to like explain the story a little bit. I still don't quite understand who Delta is and who all these people were.
No.
Other than people who are investing, but why? What are they supposed to get out of it other than maybe more money or whatever? But they're already investing hundreds of millions of dollars. How much do you think this can return on a one-shot kind of deal? But it seems more like they're doing it for entertainment, and then they're getting upset that it's not working. So that whole deal with why they were doing it just kind of seemed out there to me. I didn't quite get that. The action, however, in the fight scene and that the growing Deadpool was really quite, like I said, extreme, almost obscene the way they were doing it. In fact, Deadpool, of course, is making his obscene jokes about it while it's happening. But yeah, I'm not going to say I didn't enjoy it because it was fun to go through, but I still didn't quite get the background for the whole story.
Fair enough. Jump over to Katie.
Yeah, so I have similar thoughts. I gotta say, unfortunately, I didn't enjoy this series very much. For me, I much prefer something that is more story-driven or character-driven, and this felt very action-driven. So if somebody's looking for an action comic, this is a really good one for you. On a technical level, I agree with what Jim and Kirby are saying, where this story really needed more time to cook. You could get rid of the backstory and still a pretty solid action comic, which I think is a technical issue that needs to be worked on, either by rewriting it entirely or spending some more time on this idea, or just having an editor look at it and go, this doesn't make any sense. I think that could be improved. I didn't really understand the bad guys' motives or why they were doing this, like $500 million for splatter porn. Oh, okay. And then just for me personally, the idea of a group of elite bad guys effectively watching like gladiator blood sports is just played out for me. That to me it's almost a little too cliche to be like, oh, we're watching this through their eyes. I think, again, that's an idea that needed some more time to cook. It seems like it was kind of slapdash and thrown together. For me, this series is one that I could skip. I think there's better Deadpool and Wolverine comics to read to get excited for the movies. But, every book has a person and every person has his book. So maybe you like it. Anyway, that's my review.
Yeah, I think we're all in the hand-holding club here when it comes to kind of the reaction of this book. Now, some people may think, like, as the host here, that I'm always let everybody else go first to talk before I talk about the book. But that's mostly so I can kind of hear what you guys are saying and kind of understand the story a little better sometimes. And this one, I'm kind of in that same page with you guys where a lot of compliments to Adam Kubert with the art. Just, like what Katie said, with it being very action-packed. Both of these creators are no stranger to Wolverine. And it's one of those things that I'm wondering if they get a certain deadline, being like, well, we got this movie that's coming out, we got to get something out there and have these issues out on the shelf and a trade out by the time the Blu-ray's out or this or that. So I wonder if any of that had to play with them just being like, all right, 3-issue miniseries that's cranking out. But when you get a Wolverine Deadpool comic, for the most part, you do emphasize on a lot of like the action, the blood, the gore, and things like that. And while both characters have definitely had emotional stories and stuff like that, this feels like that they were just concentrating on one thing over the other. But yeah, that what we're kind of calling out with the art styles and the splash pages and the unique way the book was assembled with the art pages and the story and the flow of it and everything. I really enjoyed all that kind of stuff. Visually is very entertaining, but I think this would benefit more for me to read again and as a chunk and just read all as one stretch, just to kind of really put the pieces together. Didn't have much time to revisit the other two before jumping into this one here, but a lot of times I don't need that kind of refresher, but I think this book would definitely help me understand it more if that happened. There we go. I was just wondering whether the windows changed. I'm like, what, did someone drop out?
It's me.
Yeah.
No, it's me. I did want to praise one thing. So I actually missed 2 when we read it. So I read 2 this morning, and there was a line I thought was really good, and it was pain speaks to savage and savant the same way. And I actually thought that was a really good line, and would have been cool to see that developed. But I liked the wordplay on there. I liked the little alliteration. But so even a book that I can't recommend, there's still something good in it. But yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, I'm putting this in the that Watchmen Doomsday Clock Watchmen book category, where visually I was very entertained all the way through, but story-wise, it definitely needs me to sit down with it as a whole story and read it that way. I think there is an upcoming Deadpool Wolverine book again for January. As I was searching out for the synopsis, I saw that pop up for a January 2025 release, and I didn't look at the creators or anything like that, so I don't know if it's these people going on and telling another mini series that maybe will get more of what we were asking for, of needing another issue or two. But yeah, any other thoughts that I need to throw it?
I just wondered how Wolverine is.
Go ahead, Jim. You first.
I just wondered how Wolverine's able to move parts of his body that don't have muscles on it and just the adamantium skeleton.
Yeah, and when he lost part of his arm and stuff, I felt like we were seeing Savage Wolverine there. And then we got Weapon X Wolverine for a while. Then we got the normal adamantium style Wolverine. And then in the end, we get the blue and yellow Wolverine. So it's like he just jumped so many uniforms. That's why I was like, is Wolverine even real? Is he also virtual in this thing, in this world, or what's going on? But yeah, it just, when it went from that story to instantly those two in their full color outfits, fully back to normal, it's like, huh?
That's right. And Kevin Wolf, I think, had mentioned in the last one about the classic brown and yellow Wolverine outfit and stuff too. So they definitely
felt like they went all the phases of them.
Yeah. Jim,
when he did go to Canada, he stopped at the X-Men, and that's when he put on the blue and yellow, and before he went to Canada. So when we see them fighting out in the wilderness with Deadpool growing out of his back, he is still wearing the remnants of the blue and yellow.
Yeah, I definitely want to reread it.
Cool. Any other lingering thoughts before we move on? All right, that will do it then for the mini-series of Deadpool, Wolverine, WW3, and once again, a reminder, upcoming, we have a one-shot for What If Donald Duck Became Thor, which is out there now. Marvel Zombies Dawn of Decay, number 1 of 4, I believe. That's a 4-issue. That issue is also available now. Minor Arcana, number 1, debut of a series there, Jeff Lemire, also available now. And then I assume coming out in October here is Batman Full Moon, the Black Label book, which is probably a 3-issue mini. And then speaking of mini, What If Minnie Became Captain Marvel? So those are some upcoming club discussions in the future episodes of this very show when we all get our copies that aren't stuck at a post office somewhere. That's a little behind the scenes. All right, let's move on to the next segment, which is the weekly reviews. Welcome to the weekly reviews. The first one I am talking about is The Moon is Following Us, number 1. This is the brand new comic that is done by Daniel Warren Johnson and Riley Rossmo. And before I get into the review proper, what was extra special about this comic book, I already had it on pre-order, but not the specific cover, because I went to help out at Oh Yeah Comics in beautiful downtown Skokie, because they were hosting Daniel Warren Johnson on September 21st for a in-store signing and release of this book. And whenever Oh Yeah Comics has a big signing, and if it works to my schedule, I like to get down there, hang out, help out. I became the self-appointed security and line wrangler for Daniel Warren Johnson. We all kind of have our own little duties to kind of get keep the store in check and everybody flowing. And so I'm just like, yep, I'll stand next to Daniel at his table and get the line flow, take people's pictures with their cameras so they can have their their moment meeting Daniel and don't have to worry about that. And I always snap a bunch of awesome photos of him signing the books and the conversation and stuff. So when they get back, then I've used up probably 75% of their memory because I've taken all these photos on their camera. But they all have memories that they can take with them. And what was really cool about hanging out there is that each time I've encountered Daniel Warren Johnson, I'll lightly remind him of who I am because once upon a time he came into the Crimson Cowl comic store, the storefront that we had. And if you watch the YouTube version, you see a picture of him with David and Kurt when he stopped in at our store randomly. And so when he was meeting everybody at Oh Yeah, then he was like looking at me and he's just like, I remember your face. And then I just give him a quick reminder. We have a mutual painter friend as well. And then we were off to the races. And as I was watching him signing copies and just talking with everybody, people bringing in their copies of Wonder Woman Dead Earth, their Murder Falcon books, and Transformers issues, and all of the good stuff, Beta Ray Bill, all of the stuff that he's been doing in the handful of years. What I saw was I was starting to get a little jealous because I saw a lot of people getting these very awesome sketches in their hardcovers and soft covers. And I told them after the signing, I just straight up said that. I'm like, yeah, I was feeling pretty jealous, and it takes me about 2 hours to go get my hardcover of Murder Falcon. But do you mind if I get a drawing here? And he was happy to oblige, as I have this awesome quick sketch of Murder Falcon that he drew on a comic book backing board. So, but when he opens up the books and
Very nice.
when he does the hardcovers and soft covers, probably by design, they got the couple pages on the inside, and he takes both pages, double page splash, and just draws like just a huge, awesome drawing for everybody. And for him, it's so quick and what appears to be effortless. He's done it many a times, but it was one of those where I'm watching a lot of people get this, and I'm looking around, Oh Yeah Comics, wondering if there's any other copies I can buy another hardcover of it, and then I just straight up said, I'm like, yep, can I get one of those on a backing board? So Daniel Warren Johnson, always super nice to hang out and meet with him, and that fueled my excitement to check out The Moon is Following Us #1. I picked up his variant cover in addition to the one that I have showing up from my subscription service. Here we go. There we go. Murder Falcon hardcover there by Kirby. If you're watching the YouTube edition there, it's such a great story. So, and I forgot to mention Do a Power Bomb as well. That one is just, you don't have to like wrestling to see a really heart-wrenching and loving story that he does so well with these characters. And now he's starting again with Riley Rossmo. Here's the official review. Sam and Duncan Lamar love their 6-year-old daughter, Penny, more than anything in the whole world. But half a year ago, she was taken by the Cascade, an evil force they barely understand. Now Sam and Duncan must fight side by side with the magical beings Penny cherished to try to get her back before she's gone forever. This is done with writing and art by Daniel Warren Johnson, as well as art by Riley Rossmo. And then you have Mike Spicer and Sean Lee for colors and letters. And what was cool is seeing Daniel Warren Johnson listed as an artist as well. Now, the majority of the book is Riley Rossmo art, which is super great. The artists that he's worked with, every time I've complimented Scotty Young and his array of artists, they all gel so well into a world that just fits like Scotty's story and mine and everything. And I think Daniel Warren Johnson has that same sort of magic that he has. That anytime if he's working with somebody like the Jurassic League, like you could read that Jurassic League book and just see, all right, this is really flowing in a Daniel Warren Johnson style while him not being the artist of it. So Riley Rossmo and him are a dream team for this project here. And I went fairly blind. Daniel Warren Johnson's name pops up in a book. I'm going to buy it. So I didn't read much into this one. And we're just jumped into this world. You're kind of, you're kind of post-apocalyptic, scary type of realm. You don't really know what's going on. You got a bunch of characters that are basically kind of going in for a mission. You get a lot of names, a lot of context, a lot of action up front, a lot of beasts, a lot of creatures, a lot of just weird designs and enemies of things that you haven't seen before. Nothing's really identifiable. Like you're not seeing like, you sort of see like werewolves and and vampire type characters and such, but they're just drawn in such a unique, interesting, new way. And by design, this book is just gorgeous. And I had mentioned that Daniel Warren Johnson does have some art in here, and I won't talk about how his art plays into the story, but it is very much structured to the kind of story that they're telling that would allow for a second artist to jump in to tell this portion of their story. So I didn't notice the drawing credit right up front, but once I got to those pages, I'm just like, oh, Dan's drawing this book too. And yeah, so it was super cool. I want to leave it mostly a mystery. This is a 10-issue series. But yeah, if you kind of like just this otherworldly realm, scary action fantasy type stuff, that's kind of what we're dealing with here. You have a couple that are just kind of going into this place to try to retrieve their daughter that's been missing for a half a year. They have some allies, some people that are kind of like Viking looking characters. You got some magic people. They've had some allies throughout this little world that they have, and they're all like geared up with armor and battle armor and shields and swords and all of that kind of crazy stuff. So I'll show this page too, because it just shows off some crazy art stuff. So there's so much stuff going on. There's a lot of venom looking tongue creatures going on in here too. So there's a lot for everybody. And the last thing I will tease is the beautiful way of how the title "The Moon is Following Us" came to be. Daniel Warren Johnson has an awesome YouTube channel, and on that channel, he's been putting out episodes kind of talking about behind the scenes creation of this series, how him and Riley Rossmo have always wanted to work together, and them kind of just keep in check with each other. And then finally, Daniel had a story for them, and it all predicated on Daniel and his wife walking their child, and they're just on a normal walk, and they're crossing a couple bridges to get home, and the daughter kept mentioning the moon in the sky, and on the third time that as they're getting close to their house, she mentioned, like, look, the moon is following us. And that clicked for Daniel Warren Johnson. And he's just like, that's a title of a story right there. And I don't know what the story is. I don't know what it is, but he has this awesome, which is modeled after the bridge that is near him in Chicago, where they kind of had that moment. So seeing that page on there was just kind of cool, and knowing that it came from their daughter, and of her just literally saying those exact words. And now it's a 10-issue comic book series by Image Comics. Such a strong debut. If you like Daniel Warren Johnson, highly check it out. That is The Moon is Following Us, issue number 1.
Yeah, I wanted to jump on that one, but I'm like, yeah, 10 issues. I'm going to just get the trade. So I just want to make a wall of Daniel Warren Johnson hardcovers. I figure that's the best way to go.
It'll be worth it. It'll be worth it.
But yeah, I've been hearing really good things about it.
And speaking of the hardcovers, because the Wonder Woman Dead Earth one is out, but if you're looking for Daniel creator-owned stuff, I think he said they're hoping for a Duo Power Bomb, because I think it's only in a paperback at the moment. Yes. And he talked a lot about the sales algorithms and how well they do before they, push the button on a hardcover and things like that. But so hold out for it. If you don't see a hardcover, just hopefully it'll happen. So,
all right. The one that we should have made the club pick. Yeah, Deadpool team up.
Oh,
I picked up issue 1 because I fell in love with this cover to start with, and then I picked up, of course, the sketch cover, which happily has the original cover A behind the sketch cover. So that was really I always like when they do that. So just in case you screw up the sketch cover, you can rip it off and get yourself a regular comic. But yeah, this is really fun and interesting. I only picked up the first issue, well, mainly for that Wolverine cover, classic cover. This is done by Rob Liefeld, of course, Chance Wolfe, Juan Manuel Rodriguez, and VC's Joe Sabino. It starts out, I'm not sure who this character is. I've seen him before. I think he's called Dragon Lord, but he does deal with dragons and stuff, and they're on a search for a dragon egg for some reason, or dragon eggs that they're trying to get their hands on. And Deadpool crosses paths with this. Come on, it's not, okay. There it goes. Crosses paths with this big red dragon, and it's of course another talking dragon like Fin Fang Foom and all them. And he's kind of protecting the eggs. They're trying to take the eggs from him. They're talking about the eggs' abilities and all that stuff, but we don't find out everything about the eggs in this one. I'm not sure who the real team up was. I'm guessing it was the Dragon Man or the Dragon Lord type character, but we also do get Lady Anime appears in this issue. She pops up. She's kind of goofy out. She jumps from anime form to normal form and stuff, but she's got a past with Deadpool. They go back and forth. We do get Dragon Man in here, the big giant dragon character. I've always liked him. He was always a lot of fun when I've seen him with like the Deadpool when he deals with the Island of Monsters and stuff like that. But yeah, it was a fun little team up, and then all of a sudden Wolverine pops up, and it's like we got Deadpool, Wolverine working together in here to finish off this first issue, and the way it looks, they're going to be flowing in at least into the second issue and possibly more. So I have a feeling that they might be together throughout all 5 issues. But when I was reading the previews and stuff, I was thinking that he was having someone else team up with him and we weren't going to get any connection with a variety of characters. But the way it looks, these characters might flow throughout the whole run. So now I'm definitely curious about it, but I sadly only picked up the first one. And then we also, Chris Starr makes an appearance in here also towards the end. So it does, I mean, like the cover A does have a interesting little collage. We get the Hulk and Spider-Gwen stuff on there, and just, yeah. So I don't know if they're going to just be a whole team, if that's the team up concept, but I know other Deadpool team ups with just him and one other character, so I thought that's how this was going to flow through. But yeah, really fun. Really like this one. Really wish this would have been the club pick instead. But yeah, they have a lot of good variety of covers throughout the issues so far that I've seen. So lots of fun ones to pick out.
Excellent. All right, let's jump over to Katie. What you got for us?
All right. So I have Midnight Mystery Volume 1. This is actually a reread for me. So it came out in 2018. So it's been about 5-6 years since I read it. It's been on my mind to reread and check it out. The premise is Detective Ezekiel Zeke King is investigating supernatural and spiritual oddities, and he is called upon by a butler of an estate to find the estate's living heir so that they can do the transfer of wealth, and kind of keep things going that way. And in a heel turn, it turns out the butler did in fact do it. The butler lured Ezekiel and the living heir, whose name is Cameron, to the estate to kind of trap them and, do some supernatural magic stuff and initiate a spirit transfer between the father and the heir. And it doesn't go very well. They, of course, they have it out, and then there is a mysterious kind of supernatural fire where the reader is left wondering, did they do that soul transfer or not? And that's kind of the overarching story between these 2 volumes, as we find out that now there's this guy walking around who has his dead father's soul in him, and he is not a good person and is encouraging him to do all these evil things in this guy's quest for immortality and a greater command of the occult. That's the overarching story. So in issues 3 and 4, we do get some standalone stories. Issue 3, Zeke is being consulted upon by a man who was going to be on his 3rd marriage, and both of his wives died mysteriously. He gives Zeke this sob story about how his first wife died tragically and she just went insane one day, and then he fell in love again, right afterwards, and now he wants to get married, and she is haunting him. Well, as we find out throughout the story, he lied. She didn't go insane and suddenly burn down the house. He burned her alive within it for her money and to, get out of that marriage. And she, as a ghost, the wife comes back and gets her revenge and takes the bad guy down with her, which, that feels satisfying. Now they can both burn together, I guess. But before she leaves, she speaks to Ezekiel and says, that there is a greater spiritual essence about you. And you try to deny it, but it's there. So that's going to kind of play into another sub-story that we'll see in the following volumes. And then issue 4, I really thought was cool. It was this guy, Zeke, researching old letters from the war and looking into his war buddies, and just the impact that conflict and violence has on a human spirit and what it does to our collective psyche, and how these young men were sent to fight. And, they felt a call of duty to go and fight for their country and fight evil. And they got there and saw that humans are the greatest monsters this planet has ever known. And he's just reading their letters back to their loved ones and helping their souls find peace while, carrying his burdened soul himself. Like I said, this is a reread. I really enjoyed this again on its second read. It still holds up for me. It's perfect for spooky season. I was researching kind of what happened to this series, and you'll notice there's some drama with the numbering. So when I picked these up, they were being published by Alterna Comics. It appears the author is no longer working with Alterna. I haven't been following them because just life stuff happened. But it looks like the creator is back to being, fully self-managed and self-published. So if you do go to their website, these stories are compiled into different volumes than the order that I listed them in. But I liked it. And, when I first read this, I would have told you, no, I don't believe in ghosts at all, but I enjoy reading about it. But since then, I've had some, things happen that has changed my experience and my view on spirituality and spiritual occurrences. So I thought going on that journey with Zeke was pretty interesting. And that duality of, am I using this language to describe it because that's what I know, or is this actually something genuine? I thought that was really cool. If you're a fan of the Twilight Zone, I think you'd really enjoy these books. There's a little bit of an element of Coast to Coast AM with Art Bell in here too. Super fun. I enjoyed it, and I'll review volume 2 in the next round. But check it out. That's Midnight Mystery. Oh, the creative team is Bernie Gonzalez and Wes Loker.
Okay. Cool. All right. Jump over to Jim. What you got?
Yes, that was a good series, Katie. I should read it again as well. But today I have Multiversus Collision Detection number 1. This is a DC multiverse story that is a little bit different than the multiverse stories we've seen before. It starts out with a couple of kids in their treehouse playing a video game of Batman versus Superman, Street Fighter style. And one of the kids is going like, but why are they fighting? It's like they're friends. Why do we fight? It's like the other one just wants to play the game, just wants to see the violence and things happen, It's like, and then we see another little kid walking by below the treehouse, kind of listening in a little bit. And then it goes from the video game to Superman, a scene of Superman fighting against some super tech out in space. And then we see him having a vision, and then that blurs out, and we see Batman fighting something, and he has a vision, and Wonder Woman's fighting, and she has a vision. And then all of a sudden, they wake up. We see Superman wake up next to Lois, and she tells him that he needs to get with his super friends and see if they can figure it out. And so they make contact with each other, and they've each had these strange visions where there's this icon hieroglyph thing portrayed to each one. There's similarities. Superman sees a child with a star in its belly area, And Wonder Woman sees one that looks kind of like a witch, and Batman sees one that looks kind of like a rabbit, but they have all these cyber sigilism things around it, and they're all very similar. And it ends up, they are able to trace things to a specific address, and it ends up being the home of Scott Free and Big Barda, who have a young daughter who very much resembles the one we saw underneath the treehouse when the other kids were playing the video game. And she thinks somebody's delivering pizza, and she's talking to a voice in the background, and it says, "Nope, Mom and Dad aren't here," and shuts the door on the superheroes. Well, of course, they're very suspicious. They break in, and they go and figure out what's going on. And at the very end, we find her friend, who has brought all this strange technology into the house that has a similar style to the hieroglyphs that each of them have seen. And hiding in the closet, we see a resident of another Warner Brothers property, probably the most famous of the Warner Brothers cartoons, Mr. Bugs Bunny, to end the book.
Is Kirby calling you right now?
I bet he is.
That's why you subscribe to YouTube. I don't recall seeing this book at all, and I was like hearing that review, and I'm just like, wait, this is a Looney Tunes book? So I'm very interested in this.
There are at least 2 more issues, and I have pre-ordered them on Comixology, Amazon, and I've kind of spoiled a little bit because I saw the covers, and the covers kind of give it away. So I'm not going to go into it, but it's going to be fun.
Yeah, I think they have the video game. I don't know what it's called, but I think there is a video game where it just has
Injustice.
Not
there was
that
an Injustice game. Okay,
but it is. I think it might even be Multiversus, like something with that kind of lingo, because I know I saw like. I think Looney Tunes characters wearing the superhero costumes and such. So I wonder if this is all just some giant tie-in. But
I thought it was going to be funny because when you saw the treehouse at the beginning, they have posters of Captain Carrot and the Zoo Crew stuff in the background of the treehouse. So once they started talking about one of the sigils looks like a rabbit, that's immediately where I went. And no, but it wasn't, because that is one of, I don't remember the specific numbers, but that is one of the multiverses in the DC canon is the Captain Carrot universe. So
it's awesome.
But yeah, so this looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. There are at least 2 more issues to come. And it was a surprise to me. I was just scrolling on Comixology, Amazon to see, looking for one of my other books that I was expecting to read, and that just popped up. And I was a big fan of the multiverse stuff, so I was like, oh, this is not what I was expecting, but it is a lot of fun.
Yeah, nice surprise. Oh, that's cool. I'll have to keep an eye out for that one. All right, moving on to my next one here. We have League of Cryptids, Frogs Go to Loveland, #1. Humans have created many legends for these mysterious creatures over the centuries, but what if truth is stranger than fiction? Unfortunately, Earth has the reputation of being the backwoods of the galaxy. These 5 mysterious creatures, which include Sasquatch, the Loch Ness Monster, aka Nessa, the Jessie Girl, the Jersey Devil, Mothman, and Chupacabra, are all representatives of Federation of planets unfortunate enough to be assigned to Earth. Over the millennia, they have helped humans develop and defended Earth from outside forces. League of Cryptids #1 is the beginning of a 4-part story that covers the League's origin, and they face a challenge in the form of an invading alien force. The alien force is based on the real cryptid, the Loveland Frogmen. This is done by Grant Lankard, Tony Pizzana, Christian Vasquez, William Stitchwell, Jason Snyder, and Joseph Lankard. This was something that I think it stumbled into my feed. This was a Kickstarter book, so I assume all the other issues will be distributed as well. I'm not too familiar with the creators, but I think I do follow Grant, so this may have just been something that just got thrown into my feed someday. But this was a lot of fun. I like some cryptid stories, and I was intrigued by the title, "A League of Cryptids." You get a very cool origin story, just kind of talking about how these cryptid monsters from other planets are basically assigned to Earth to watch over the entire planet. And you jump 6,000 years later, so you see them just kind of hovering over Earth and kind of talking about it. And then you have sort of a Justice League or JSA type of setup here, where Avengers meeting type of thing, and you have all of these cryptids that are basically all just kind of going there for the regular meetings as they're kind of assigned to different parts of the earth, just showing off some of the awesome artwork on the inside here for the story. But yeah, they get an alert that there is an alien force that needs their attention, and as the title would assume, we're talking about the Frogmen. The Frogmen are here. You got them showing up there, and then the League of Cryptids are called to assemble basically and battle them on. I think that is all I'm going to show for this one, since it is a crowdfunded book. This was issue number 1. There's some other stuff that came in with it from the other creators and stuff, some anthology stuff. So I got to do some research on what this publisher deals with. Comicsburg, I think it's how it's pronounced, but Comicsburg is the publisher stamp on this one, and the anthology that I think is either included for free or as an add-on or something. But yeah, this is kind of a cool concept. I like the idea of these characters kind of working together and being basically a superhero team to answer the world's problems. But yeah, this is a ton of fun, and I think it's a pretty cool concept, and I think they knocked it out of the park with issue number 1. So there's a 4-part series, so I'll be taking a look to see when issue 2, which says click on the QR code and select free comic in order to sign up for updates when issue number 2 comes out. For signing up for our mailing list, you'll also receive a free comic book. So I assume that information is out there just in case that works. But if you are interested, just search that out and follow that creative team and get on board. And most likely, once you go for the next one, they would most likely offer these at the very least in PDF form. And just because I mentioned it here, other comics from Comicsburg, Beowulf, Memoirs of the Morbid, which is what I read, a different thing, The Edge, and The Theme of Thieves. So they have a bunch of other stuff as well. So check it out. League of Cryptids, Frogs Go to Loveland, number 1. Kirby?
All right. I got from Dark Horse Comics, number 1 of 3, Tiny Tina's Wonderland, Land of the Giants. I think both Jim and Katie would appreciate this book. It's very parody on D&D style stuff, but instead of D&D, it's called Bunkers and Badasses that they play. But it starts out with a giant story. This giant character, she thinking this is part of the Borderlands world. By the way, Tiny Tina is of course from the Borderlands video game. If you have or haven't played it, or you've seen the movie that's recently come out and stuff. But we get some of our characters like Hammerlock and Tina and stuff in here, Claptrap and all that. But it starts out with this giant character, and you're like thinking that it's going to be that story. And then we catch that our characters are sitting at a table playing a D&D style game. And Tiny Tina's basically the bunker master, I guess. Yeah, she is called Tiny Tina Bunker Master. They show stats and stuff with each character and stuff. Do a really nice job of laying it out, giving the different abilities that they have. So you can get that concept for each character. It was a lot of fun. You got Skirmish, a 9th level Bogbarian. You got Blastina, 8th level Deadshot. You got Crasher, a 9th level Stabbo Master. And Claptrap at one time was 213th level Heart Snatcher, but poor Claptrap gets pushed aside after the first game. Tiny Tina goes off and she kind of disappears for a while, so people get worried about her, what's going on with her. And our one character, the Valentine character, who in the video game, him and Sir Hammerlock are a couple. And then I'm not sure who this Fret robot character is. I don't recognize him at all from the game, but he messes with Claptrap throughout this storyline. But our Valentine character goes off and goes into Tiny Tina's bedroom to see what's up with her, and the cats are pushing against my arm, wanting me to pet them at the moment. She has a bunch of different things and has like a hand in a jar and all that stuff. Little references to Borderlands, but she has her diary on a stand with a sign that says, "Touch me for an opportunity to be murdered." And of course, Valentine looks into it, sees if there's any clues of where Tina disappeared to, and noticed that she feels bad about being Tiny Tina. She's looking for other kids she's been searching for and stuff like that, because there are no other kids that you really see in the Borderlands world other than Tiny Tina. So she's looking for a friend to hang out with. And so Valentine's like, well, let's make a special game for her and make her happy, cheer her up. And here she wasn't missing because she was bummed at all. She was just off getting a bunch of fun snacks. And she rattles off all the different names for the snacks and stuff. There's all kinds of fun things in there. But yeah, this is really well done. They played it out really nicely. And you're basically just like you're going through a whole D&D style game. I lost my bookmark, of course, but they do give you little adventures that they went on. Gives you kind of a concept of the different style adventures that they're going through and stuff, and battling trolls and all that, and inside a bar and running into a bunch of snake people and stuff. But yeah, this was really well done. I've never fully played D&D because I could never find anybody to play with, because I live in a village instead of a city or anything like that. So I assume this is very much like it would be, but it made me want to play. And then Sir Hammerlock, I don't know if you know the Borderlands game, he's a hunter and goes around searching for special types of creatures that he could find out in the wilderness and stuff. But they come across a wyvern, a bunch of baby wyverns. There's a bunch of different types of baby wyverns. So he's all happy because he's checking off his list of different types of creatures that he's never had a chance to put on his mounts, on his walls and stuff. So, but yeah, this is really well done. I think anybody that's into D&D and stuff would really enjoy this. I didn't know that's what I was getting when I got this book, but I'm very happy I did, because I really enjoyed the way they played it all out and how they parodied a bunch of stuff. But yeah, so check that out from Dark Horse Comics.
Excellent. And to finish off our reviews, let's dive into some more Midnight Mysteries. Katie?
All right, I'm back. That's me. So we have Midnight Mystery, City of Ghosts. Under the Alternative Publishing, this is Volume 2, and under the remastered trade paperbacks that the author is selling, this is Volume 3. It's continuing our main story, and I have to issue a correction on myself. The character's name is Conrad, not Cameron. I know how to read. This follows, again, our main story, where Zeke is, again, investigating what all these weird things going on, and he gets a lead of a shady character named Willie. Now, who is Willie? Nobody knows. They go to the hotel he was staying at. Nope, no Willie here, but I think he worked for the carnival. Goes to the carnival. No, we've never heard of Willie, but maybe he was at this boxing gym. Goes to the boxing gym, and everyone is very aggressively saying, you need to stop asking questions. Like, get out of here before this turns ugly. And of course, Zeke being Zeke, he keeps pressing his luck, and it turns ugly. And all of a sudden, these boxing henchmen end up turning possessed, almost like they're zombies, and they just keep reiterating this phrase: "No loose ends, no loose ends." And they attack Zeke and run him out of town, burn the boxing gym down to the ground, and they attack the lady who owned the hotel where Willie was staying. Again, no loose ends, no loose ends. And it's not looking good, and they keep coming after Zeke. Now, Volume 2 could be titled Zeke Gets Abducted Under Mysterious Circumstances, because that happens like in 3 of these 4 issues. Well, we have a henchman wearing an eye patch, different than the possessed henchman, who abducts Zeke, takes him in a limo to a supervillain's lair, where we see a mysterious person in a wheelchair covered in bandages. Their face is all taped up, gender indeterminate, age indeterminate, who says, we've been watching you, and you're a detective who investigates the supernatural. We want to hire you because remember that fire from Volume 1 and that goofy stuff of like the soul transfer and the evil butler? Turns out that now the secret's out and the soul transfer worked, and Conrad is out committing evil things with his alter ego that is also his father, Count Karloff. And they're doing bad guy stuff. And as we explore throughout this, they are the ones who, through a secret society, hired these possessed bad guys that are going around telling everybody no loose ends, because they are looking for a artifact that can grant permanent immortality and a permanent soul artifact for Count Karloff, because the whole sharing a living body is not working out very well for them, due to reasons, spooky reasons. And the series ends on a cliffhanger. They find this artifact, which was created by Vlad Tepes, better known as Dracula. A little on the nose, but I think given the horror theme and the author's love for horror, it does make sense. And I was really hoping that there was a Volume 4 that would finish up this story, because it is pretty good. But as of yet, I'm not seeing one. Did I lose you guys? All right, we're good. There is a slight lag. Unfortunately, the story is unfinished, and I actually would really enjoy seeing a conclusion to the story. It's a fun detective story. If you like things like the Dresden Files, or, you enjoy the X-Files, or just that kind of like urban paranormal fantasy, I think you'd really enjoy this. You can see the author's love for horror, for, crime fiction, detective fiction, really evident in these books. And I would like to see an ending to it, but unfortunately it's not available yet. There does appear to be a remastered Volume 1, which is stories that were not included in the Alterna collection, so maybe I'll check that out. But I enjoyed Volume 2, Midnight Mystery, The City of Ghosts, hoping that we see a conclusion to the Count Karloff story at some point. And this was again put out by Bernie Gonzalez and Wes Blocher. I'm reading them from Alterna, but you can buy them independently from the author on their website. And that is my review. Happy spooky season, everyone.
Very well. And for clarification, your review came in loud and clear the whole way through, so we didn't get any lag. So
awesome. Fantastic.
Good. And that is going to do it for another episode of the Crimson Cowl Comic Club. Thank you, everybody, for checking it out, for listening, for watching. Here's some plugs and where you can find all of our stuff. You go to crimsoncowl.com. You can go for info and original webcomics. Webcomics include Tales from the North, a bunch of stories that are exclusive, free webcomics on crimsoncowl.com. If you want more stories, then you can go ahead and place an order for the physical comic book that is not available online. This is a physical comic book only for The Dungeon, done by David Gloyd. And David Gloyd, second, based on the Second's D&D campaigns and characters and stuff like that. So just reach out to us wherever you see our social media, and you can obtain a copy of that. Crimson Cowl Comic Club over on iTunes for the audio version. Subscribe, rate, and review to help the show. Crimson Cowl Comic Club over on YouTube. If you wanted to see when that cat was trying to get in on that review from Kirby, you could see all of that only on the YouTube version, plus some other fun stuff as we show off panels and stuff like that. And then Kirby has a spin-off podcast under the Cowl of MS. If you'd like to talk about what's been going on over there.
I've been doing Instagram single comic reviews almost every day now, and I'm going to keep that going. I got a variety of reviews, unpackings, previews, all that stuff on the channel. And then come October, I'm going to try and have something fun almost every day of October. So keep an eye out. Check out both the Instagram and the YouTube channel.
Very cool. So yeah, subscribe to Under the Call of MS wherever you get your podcast and social media. I have some art accounts over on Facebook and Instagram, Anthony Laatsch, Laatsch. I also have my very first comic book, Rice Christopher, the Wednesday afternoon special. If you're watching the video, you're seeing that at least one other person bought it, and maybe two other people bought it. Oh, look at that. There we go. We got some people who have bought this comic book. This is my first ever self-created, self-published comic book. Writer, artist, letterer, colorist, everything done inside this book is done by me. 16-page story, all-age adventure of a crispy rice man. And then there's some activities, there's a maze, there's some coloring sheets. I'm offering prints and stickers and all of that fun stuff. As I'm looking to book some future conventions, I'm hopefully going to be at Oh Yeah Comics in beautiful downtown Skokie in the month of October, probably the 19th, but not 100% official yet, in which I would be setting up a version of my convention table there to do an in-store signing and pretend to be famous for a couple hours at Oh Yeah Comics. So more on that as we go forward. But if you'd like to order anything that you see from the tables and the pictures I posted on the social media, anything related to Rice Christopher, I've got plenty of copies. I ordered strong, and I'm very happy with the sales that have been coming through. I've been shipping out books. So all you have to do is comment on anywhere you're hearing this voice and seeing our faces, comment below, or you can email latchkeykid@gmail.com, LAATSCH, latchkeykid.com. And I will send you all the information you need to know. I also am a co-host of Cartoonist by Night over on YouTube, a drawing show with some friends as we hang out with a guest artist most episodes. And by the time this Crimson episode is out, we'll have a brand new episode to kick off October. We invited Nick Aureliani onto the show. If you are unfamiliar with Nick Aureliani, he is the son of Franco, who we've had on the show as well. Nick is a writer and an artist in his own right, and we had him on the show to talk about his topic, which was horror comics. So we get all spooky to kick off October, talking about horror comics and drawing horror comics related things on an all new episode of Cartoonist by Night. So check it out. It's a YouTube only show, drawing show. Hang out, watch us draw, grab your art supplies, and draw along with us. Subscribe to Cartoonist by Night over on YouTube. And I should mention too, because I had these sitting here, Nick co-authored Super Fun Altogether, Cactus and Liz, which we've talked about on this very show. We reviewed that and talked about that. We've had Eric Wolfgang and Franco, the other creators on his book, on Cartoonist by Night. He is also a co-author on the Zombie Cat one-issue kickoff here. He did confirm there will be more Zombie Cat, so the story does continue. And also, he is a co-creator on the LXT. That was another awesome kind of mix of comics and prose and tabletop dice games, all card games all together. LXT, a lot of crazy stuff. So you can learn more about that by watching Cartoonist by Night and that episode with Nick. It was a ton of fun. All right. I think that is going to do it for this episode. I've got no other things sitting around here to plug, so we're going to go off and just kind of plug the ending of the show. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe. Please rate and review. Tell a friend about this. Share it. You can put these videos into your social media feed. people will be like, hey, where are all these cool people holding comic books? I want to get in on that and read these books and learn all about them. That only happens if you share the video and do all that fun stuff. So thank you for checking it out, Crimson Cowl Comic Club. This whole time, I've been wanting to buy a Maserati and date a crypto influencer.
I think I'm going to go start World War III with some bullies and badasses.
I've been eye patch henchman.
Squirrel corn!
To be continued.
Thank you, Slimer.